أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
And from it descends down everything that is coming to this earth, and it emerges from it. So Allah's rahmah and the rain and anything that Allah wants to send down, the origination, where does it begin from? Sidra Tul Muntaha, right? So everything that is raised up goes to the Sidra Tul Muntaha. Everything that comes down starts from the Sidra Tul Muntaha. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذْ يَغْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَغْشَى, that when the tree was enveloped by what it was enveloped by, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَرَاشٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ, butterflies from made out of gold. So one of the things that is surrounding the tree are beautiful butterflies with exotic colors made out of gold. So this is of the things that is surrounding the tree, and there are other things as well that we don't know, because Allah has said, إِذْ يَغْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَغْشَى, that when the tree was enveloped by what it was enveloped by, مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى, the eyes of the Prophet ﷺ did not move beyond that, nor did they go astray, meaning he absorbed this beautiful sight, right? Then Allah says, لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. Looking at this tree, Allah says he has seen of the ayat al-kubra. And if Allah is saying this is a major ayah, then what is bigger than this, right? So by viewing the Sidra Tul Muntaha, Allah is saying he has seen of his most magnificent creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the Sidra Tul Muntaha. And in one version of At-Tabari, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذْ يَغْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَغْشَى, when it was enveloped by what it was enveloped by, the Prophet ﷺ said, it kept on changing until nobody can describe it for you. So the tree is not a static tree. We can, whatever image we get, it's a ever-changing tree. Colors are going up and down. There's butterflies of gold. Its leaves are massive. Its fruits are as large as the jars of hajar. So we get some impression that it is a dynamic tree. It's a beautiful, majestic tree. It is an otherworldly tree. And this is the Sidra Tul Muntaha. Now, question. In one hadith it says that, so I passed basically Ibrahim in the 7th heaven, and then I saw Sidra Tul Muntaha. In the other hadith, that's in Bukhari, in the other hadith in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, and then I went to Sidra Tul Muntaha, and it is in the 6th heavens. So there is a clear contradiction, because in one hadith it's in Bukhari 7th, in the other hadith it's in Muslim, it is 6th. Imam An-Nawawi tries to explain this, and it seems like a good explanation, and he says the trunk of the tree begins in the 6th heaven, but its branches finish at the end of the 7th heaven, because that is the end of the creation as we know it, right? Nothing of the creation of this world at least is beyond the Sidra Tul Muntaha, right? The only thing that is beyond it is the throne and the one who is above the throne. So the Sidra Tul Muntaha is the end of this creation. And therefore, this is a good point that Nawawi brings, there's no contradiction. The Prophet ﷺ is saying that the Sidra Tul Muntaha begins in the 6th heaven, and then it continues, the trunk of it, all the way through until the leaves finish with the top of the 7th heaven. And this seems to be a good narration, and in fact later scholars have found that one of the Tabi'un, Qatada, the student of Ibn Abbas, he himself said that the Sidra finishes in the 7th heaven, which means it begins somewhere else. So the Sidra finishes in the 7th heaven, and therefore from this we derive that the Sidra is a massive tree, a tree that there is like no other tree. And by the way, the motif of a tree is very common in the Quran, and the tree is a symbol of Iman and a symbol of life. And subhanAllah, it is in the fitrah of the children of Adam that when we see a tree, we are optimistic. That to this day, look at any NGO that's a peace NGO or Think Green NGO, whatever it is, right? What is their symbol? A leaf or a twig or a tree? It's ingrained in our fitrah, right? That Allah created us, that the tree is peace, the tree is life, right? And the motif of the tree is throughout the Quran and Sunnah, so much so that the very end of creation, what is it? The Sidra Tul Muntaha. And that is the most magnificent of all trees. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, and at the base of the Sidra Tul Muntaha, فَإِذَا أَرْبَعْتُ أَنْهَارٍ, there are 4 rivers coming down. نَهْرَانِ بَاطِنَانِ وَنَهْرَانِ ظَاهِرَانِ, 2 of these are hidden and 2 of these are open. So I said to Jibreel, What are these rivers? So Jibreel said, أَمَّا الْبَاطِنَانِ فَنَهْرَانِ فِي جَنَّةٍ. As for the hidden ones, they are ones in Jannah. You're not going to see them in this world. وَأَمَّا الظَّاهِرَانِ. And as for the ones that everybody can see, فَالنَّيْلُ وَالْفُرَاتِ. The river Nile and the Euphrates river. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, the Prophet is saying, Jibreel is telling him that the Nile and the Euphrates are blessed rivers. The Nile and the Euphrates are blessed rivers. And subhanAllah, well, I mean, this is just such a small fact here, that now we know that the cradle of civilization has always been associated with these two rivers. That the earliest people on earth is basically Mesopotamia, which is the Euphrates, right? The earliest, where is the land of Iraq or Babylon? All of these is basically around the Euphrates. And the second civilization is basically on the Nile. And there have been continuous human habitations as far back as we know upon the Euphrates and the Nile. And these two rivers have always been rivers of life and rivers of civilization from the beginning of time. And subhanAllah, the Prophet just makes a passing statement that clearly these two rivers, you cannot compare this to the Mississippi, for example, right? There is no comparison, nothing against, but I'm saying you cannot compare this, right? You cannot compare these rivers to any other rivers on earth. These rivers are the rivers where the origins of life as we know it on earth, right? This is, as we said, the earliest civilizations go back to these. And look at every great civilization 5,000, 4,000 years ago, they're associated with these two rivers. And our Prophet is saying that Jibreel showed me this, and he said, these two rivers are a blessing from Allah that everybody can see. They emanate, Allah knows how, they're starting from up there, but they're apparent for everybody to see. An-Nailu wal-Furat, the Nile and the Euphrates. As for the two rivers of Jannah, they are Al-Kawthar and Salsabil. As for the two rivers of Jannah, they are Al-Kawthar, Inna A'tainaka Al-Kawthar, and I have given tafsir of Surah Al-Kawthar here, and it's online as well. And Salsabil as well is mentioned in the Quran. Aina fiha tusamma Salsabila. So the Salsabil is the second river in Jannah. So these are the two rivers of Jannah. Then over here in one version, the Prophet ﷺ said, ثُمَّ رُفِعَ لِي الْبَيْتُ الْمَعْمُورِ. Then I saw al-Baytul Ma'mur. In another version, he says, I saw Ibrahim when I saw him in the seventh heaven sitting with his back on Baytul Ma'mur. Allahu A'lam, was this one incident and somehow it got into these two, or was it two separate times that he saw Baytul Ma'mur? Allahu A'lam. There is really, I've thought about this a lot, I don't know what to do. Whether we say that he saw it twice, once with Ibrahim, and then once when he saw Sidra Tul Muntaha, he was shown it a second time, or was it really just one? And because again, remember, all of these different narrations of the Isra and Mi'raj are being reported by different Sahaba. And as we said, even here in this gathering, if all of you were to go home after you listen to a lecture about Isra and Mi'raj, every one of you is going to kind of sort of muddle things up and put things here and there. You'll remember interesting anecdotes, right? But somehow, along the way, things are going to happen. And this is the human element of documenting the ahadith that we need to be aware of. There's a human element that the Sahaba, they're not, it's not a lie, but things move around a little bit. And there is a problem sometimes in some of these narrations. And we find it especially in incidents. Even, by the way, the battles as well. Any battle, it's impossible to reconstruct A to Z. Because when you narrate a battle, I'm jumping the gun here, when you narrate a battle, what do you narrate? One incident, right? How do you know when that incident happened? And to link it to the other incidents does require imagination. Same thing here with the Isra. We're not sure, maybe he saw it again. And this is when he said that the Baytul Ma'mur is a house, a Kaaba, similar to the Kaaba. And in one hadith he said, it is above the Kaaba on this earth, such that if it were to fall down, it would land on the Kaaba. It would land on this Kaaba. So there is a Bayt that is in the heavens, like there is a Bayt that is on this earth. And this is when he said, every day 70,000 angels enter it, never to return. And this has been happening since Allah created it until the Day of Judgment. 70,000 angels on a daily basis, and they never repeat ever again between any two angels. And if you do the math after a while, your mind starts boggling away. How many angels are there? And it's, of course, as Allah says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. Only Allah knows the quantity of